Hello, this is Priscilla Rice, and I'm coming to you from Live Oak Recording Studio. This week, we're going to have a rebroadcast of one of our earlier classic podcasts. We hope you enjoy it, and thanks so much for listening. Episode number 728, Coaching a Chapter to Greatness.
You're listening to the official BNI podcast with BNI Founder and Chief Visionary Officer, Dr. Ivan Misner. Stay tuned for networking and referral marketing tips from the man who's been called the father of modern networking, along with suggestions and insights into getting the most from your membership in the world's largest networking organization, BNI.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the official BNI podcast. I'm Priscilla Rice, and I'm coming to you from Live Oak Recording Studio in Berkeley, California, and I'm joined on the phone today by the founder and the Chief Visionary Officer of BNI, Dr. Ivan Misner. Hello, Ivan. How are you, and where are you?
I am about to head to Santa Barbara for a training. Jack Canfield has asked me to be part of a training program that he's got going in Santa Barbara, and I'm really excited to be there and to work with Jack and many other people in helping to talk about how to be successful in business. So I'm really excited
excellent.
about that.
That sounds great.
I'm also incredibly excited to have a guest on the podcast, Mark Brevis. And Mark is the chapter president of the Founders Chapter of BNI. And when I say Founders Chapter, I mean the number one chapter. 10,300 and, I think it's 10,363 chapters ago. It was the very, very first chapter of BNI. Let me just talk a little bit about Mark. Mark spent 7 years in Thailand. His family traveled a lot. He returned to California when he was 14. He graduated high school in West Covina. I graduated from Zusa Unified, so very close to you, Mark.
Yes.
You went to Cal Poly, Pomona, to study electrical engineering. I went to Cal Poly, and I taught at Cal Poly. And Mark quickly found out that he wasn't real fond of physics, which I can totally get. So he took an entrepreneurial leap and opened a small custom T-shirt shop in a mall in Pomona. And I bet you I know what mall that is in Pomona that you opened up in.
Which one?
Is it that walk-in mall that there's like in the streets?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember it well. I remember it being redeveloped many years ago.
Exactly.
When my grandmother lived there, yeah. Anyway, despite some initial difficulties, like he says he didn't know how to run a business, he did make a success of it. And today his company is here some 35 years later and making some absolute unforgettable customized apparel in Irwindale. And of course, I know where Irwindale is at as well. And Mark, it's such a pleasure to have you on this podcast. And you asked me in a note, if I recall, our meeting at Walter's Restaurant in Claremont way back. And yes, I do. Do you want to give a quick review of what happened at that meeting?
Well, that's amazing. I mean, we found out you were going to be in Claremont, and I couldn't wait to go and check things out and see you in person and hear you talk. And I was very impressed with the way you worked the room. You went around and met everybody and shook hands and introduced yourself, and you showed everybody how to network. And I thought it was great. I was very impressed, and there was a great Q&A session afterwards. And I left kind of like, wow, what can a chapter be if we follow some of these strategies? It was great.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed doing it, and I love meeting BNI members. And I remember this event very clearly because it wasn't huge. I think there was like 30 people, maybe 40 people at this event. Yeah, and it was a blast. So you reached out to me afterwards and asked when you became chapter president if you could. If we could talk and if I could help in any way. And I think I actually even made the offer at that meeting that I'd be glad to help because I know the founding chapter was struggling. And by the time we spoke, you had about 20 members. It's now 35 members. And you asked if I would help. And I said, yes. And so I coached the founding chapter because I really want this chapter to continue to do well. And so what we're going to do today, Marcus, talk about some of the things that you implemented into your chapter to turn it into a 35-member chapter. So the first one was talking to people who you know. You want to talk about that?
Yes, one of the strategies was to realize that we don't know anything or everything, and it would be better to talk to people who've had success in BNI and find out what their strategies were. So my vice president coming in, Mark Vigil, and I did that. We talked to different chapter leaders, and we had you helping us and our executive director, Mike Adre, and the wonderful Christine Bond in Southern California, who
Love Christine.
she's great. Yeah, she was very helpful. So we just asked questions, what are some of the things we need to do? How can we do them? How do you get people to buy in? That kind of thing.
And love you too, Mike. Both great people. Mike Adrick. What was the next thing that you did?
Well, what we wanted to do is, in order to get a feel for where the chapter was with the members, we interviewed every single member and we asked some specific questions to just get a general idea. What do you like most about the chapter? What do you like least about the chapter? Where would you like to see the chapter in 6 months, in a year? And the answers were similar. And it was just like, well, there's not enough members. There's not enough referrals. We want more members. We want more thank you for closed business. And I stole one of Christine Bond's signature questions, which was, if your chapter membership cost you $100,000 a year, what would you be doing differently? And they would say things like, they would say, I do more one-to-ones, or I prepare my presentations a little better. And I would say, well, why aren't you doing that now?
That's a great question. I didn't know she asked that. Next time I see her, I'll have to.
Isn't that a great question? I love that question.
It is. It absolutely is, because it makes you think, well, yeah, I'd be working a lot harder. Why aren't we now?
Exactly.
Great question. All right. Give me your next point about helping members realize the chapter's potential.
Yeah, what we wanted to do is basically focus on the core values of BNI, specifically the member recognition and accountability, which are two of my favorites. I mean, there's so many that are my favorites, but I thought that one might be a good one. So what we started to do was we did a weekly Best Speaker Trophy Award, where we would award that to the member who gave the best weekly presentation. They would hold on to it for a week, come back in a week, and then they would give it to the next speaker. So that was a way to encourage people to up their presentation skills a little bit.
Love it.
Yeah. We also wanted to continue with the notable networker theme. What we did was we created almost like a certificate, like a diploma from a university, where we got a simple framed it, put their name in it in Old English letters so it looked real official.
Nice.
Brought them up to the front of the room, said, how were you able to get that many one-to-ones and that much closed business? And it gave them a chance to shine. So the goal was they could be recognized, because nobody ever recognizes entrepreneurs, and they could hopefully inspire some other member to do the same.
The Notable Networker Awards were started in your chapter. And we actually, in the very early days, had a small award, a standing award, and it would sit in front of the member who won the Notable Networker Award for the month, and it would sit in front of them for the month. Over time, they just kind of grew legs and disappeared, so we went to certificates. But that concept of Notable Networker started in your chapter, as did many, many other things.
Nice.
Talk about the top achievers. Is that what you had just covered?
Sort of, yeah. We also did a perpetual plaque that we sat in front of the visitor table. So whenever anybody came in, there was this nice walnut framed plaque, and it had everybody's name for each month, in terms of thank you for closed business, referrals, CEUs, etc. So they were all recognized as well. So it gave a little extra, I think, and it seemed to work.
Now, you mentioned recognition and accountability. Is there anything else you want to say on that, or do you want to talk about education?
Accountability was going to be a little bit challenging, so we implemented a little. We started basically following BNI rules a little more closely, and started talking about tardiness and why you want to be on time. And despite a little initial resistance, everybody kind of fell in line, and people were showing up on time and doing the right things.
It's amazing how that effort yields such great results, and people are really hesitant to do it.
Absolutely.
Education and meeting stimulants. You want to talk about those real briefly?
Sure. We basically wanted to make sure that our members were well trained, because well trained members pass more referrals, and ultimately everybody wins when they do that. So we had some chapter in-house educational themes. We tried to encourage people to go to trainings, and ultimately more people participated, and the results, it's kind of a no-brainer. The BNI's prepared the roadmap. All you have to do is follow it.
Yeah.
The other thing we did in the meetings were stimulants, where we tried to make the meetings a little more fun. One of the last ones we did in person was tie your weekly ask to a Beatles song rather, and it was fun to watch people's faces. I mean, the tax guy did Tax Man, and it was funny. It was really good.
And just for clarity, he said weekly ask with a K, A-S-K. And yeah, that is a fun meeting stimulant. And we've got a lot, if you don't know what we're talking about. We're not talking about good drugs. We're talking about these meeting stimulants that have been developed by BNI over the years. And you can find them, the leadership teams have access to them. And that's a fun one. I wouldn't do a meeting stimulant every week, but doing them, once every month or 6 weeks, I think looks great.
It was once every other month.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. You wanted to talk about COVID briefly. Hit upon that.
Yes, when COVID came, it sort of changed everything. We really didn't know what was going to be happening, but fortunately, BNI came through. We just missed 1 week. And the initial challenge, once the tech issue were resolved, was getting people to focus on the meeting. So
yeah.
One of our members, Josh Fisher, sent me a PowerPoint wheel that we use in the meetings to this day. It basically is a round wheel. It has everybody's name on it. Everybody writes down everybody's ask. We spin the wheel. The first person has to recite is up on deck, and then they have to recite the ask of another member. If they're able to do that, they get another ask. So everybody's focused, and it works really, really well.
And Mark, you've been stable or grown during COVID, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. I want to say this to all the listeners, the members. I recently just had a BNI director tell me, "What are you thinking, Ivan? You can't possibly grow. Everything is going to go backwards during COVID." And I had to tell him, if you think you can or you think you can't, you'll be right. And people, COVID is not the problem. COVID is a problem, but people need BNI more than ever. It can be an opportunity. You can, in fact, grow during COVID. We've opened more than 700 chapters. I don't know if you knew that, Mark. During COVID,
we've amazing.
Opened net 700. Our membership has gone up. It's all about belief. And what I love about you, Mark, is that you believed. When you and I talked at Walter's Restaurant, you believed it was possible. And
Absolutely.
You helped other people in your chapter believe it was possible. And I'm just really proud of the Founders Chapter, and I'm proud of you. And I'm so pleased to have you on BNI Podcast today.
Thank you. It's a privilege.
Well, before I leave, I know the question that the chapters are going to ask is, hey, can you do this for our group too? With, 10,400 groups worldwide, I can't. However, what I'm going to do is take all of the communication that I had with you, Mark, and with your permission, I'm going to do podcasts before the end of the year. It'll probably take about 3 podcasts to go through all of the different recommendations that I made to the chapter. And so you'll get the same coaching basically that I gave to the Founders Chapter. And Mark, thank you so much. Again, it's a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. And Founders Rules.
Founders Rule. Absolutely. Well done. Over to you, Priscilla.
Okay, perfect. Thank you both. That was just great. Well, I'd like to tell you that this podcast is sponsored by MeisnerAudioprograms.com. These audio programs are going to provide you with the tools and the inspiration to powerfully enhance your BNI experience and help you boost your business. So check out the great material available to you at MeisnerAudioprograms.com and use the promo code IVAN50 for 50% off all audio programs. And all of the proceeds are going to the BNI Foundation. So thank you so much for listening. This is Priscilla Rice, and we look forward to having you join us again next week for another exciting episode of the official BNI podcast.